Welcome to Biography with Plutarch, where we embark on a fascinating journey through the lives of extraordinary individuals to uncover the intricacies of human character and the timeless lessons that can be gleaned from their experiences. Today, we delve into the captivating life of Greta Garbo, the enigmatic Swedish actress who mesmerized the world with her ethereal beauty, captivating on-screen presence, and a mystique that continues to inspire and intrigue audiences to this day. Born on September 18, 1905, in Södermalm, a working-class district in Stockholm, Sweden, Greta Lovisa Gustafsson, later known as Greta Garbo, entered a world marked by profound social change and cultural transformation. The early 20th century was an era of great upheaval in Sweden, with the women's suffrage movement gaining momentum, the country slowly transitioning from an agrarian to an industrial society, and the aftermath of World War I still resonating throughout Europe. This tumultuous backdrop would shape Greta's worldview, inform her future choices, and ultimately influence the characters she would portray on screen. Greta's early life was shaped by the humble circumstances of her family, with her father, Carl Alfred Gustafsson, working as a laborer, and her mother, Anna Lovisa Johansson, taking on various jobs to supplement the family's income. Their modest home, located in a crowded and vibrant neighborhood, was filled with love, laughter, and music, despite the financial struggles they faced. This unassuming upbringing would instill in Greta a strong work ethic, an appreciation for the simple things in life, and a deep understanding of the importance of family and community. As a child, Greta was known for her striking appearance, with piercing eyes that seemed to sparkle like the stars on a clear Swedish night and raven black hair that cascaded down her back like a waterfall. Her parents, though not affluent, encouraged her love of nature and the arts, often taking her on walks through the picturesque Swedish countryside, where she would marvel at the majestic lakes, lush forests, and rolling hills. These early experiences would foster a deep connection between Greta and the natural world, as well as spark her interest in the performing arts. She would spend hours watching the clouds drift lazily across the sky, lost in thought and dreaming of the day she could bring her own stories to life on stage and screen. The Gustafsson family's love of theater and music was a staple of their household, with Greta's mother often singing traditional Swedish folk songs while doing chores, and her father playing the accordion on special occasions. These impromptu performances would fill the small apartment with joy and laughter, creating a sense of warmth and togetherness that would stay with Greta throughout her life. As she grew older, Greta began to participate in local theater productions, often performing in front of family and friends, and gradually developing the confidence and stage presence that would become hallmarks of her career. Greta's formative years were also marked by significant historical events that would shape her worldview and inform her future choices. The early 20th century was a time of great social change in Sweden, with women like Selma Lagerlöf and Ellen Key fighting for equality and challenging traditional gender roles. These pioneering women would inspire Greta to pursue her own dreams, despite the obstacles she faced as a woman from a working-class background. As she navigated her childhood, Greta was drawn to the world of dance and theater, often performing in local productions and dreaming of a life beyond the confines of her working-class neighborhood. Her parents, though skeptical at first, eventually came to support her aspirations, recognizing the passion and dedication that drove their daughter to pursue a career in the arts. This early encouragement would prove instrumental in shaping Greta's future, as she began to hone her craft and develop the skills that would ultimately propel her to international stardom. With the guidance of her parents and the support of her community, Greta started to envision a life beyond the limitations of her circumstances, a life where she could express herself freely and bring joy to others through her performances. As Greta's passion for the performing arts continued to grow, she began to pursue more formal training, eventually enrolling in the prestigious Royal Dramatic Theatre's acting school in Stockholm. The school, nestled in the heart of the city, was a hub for artistic expression, and its walls seemed to reverberate with the whispers of Sweden's rich cultural heritage. It was here, under the guidance of renowned instructor Maria Lundqvist, that Greta refined her craft, honing her skills in acting, dance, and movement with an intensity that bordered on obsession. Her dedication and natural talent quickly earned her recognition, and she soon found herself performing on the stages of Stockholm's most esteemed theaters, including the iconic Dramaten, where she would later become a household name. As she delved deeper into the world of theater, Greta became fascinated by the works of renowned playwrights like August Strindberg and Henrik Ibsen, whose complex characters and nuanced storylines sparked her imagination and fueled her creativity. Her performances were met with critical acclaim, with many praising her unique ability to convey vulnerability and strength on stage. It was during this period that Greta developed a deep understanding of the human psyche, which would later become a hallmark of her acting style. In 1924, Greta's breakthrough role arrived when she was cast as Countess Ekborg in the Swedish film The Saga of Gösta Berling, directed by Moritz Stiller. This cinematic debut not only marked the beginning of her illustrious film career, but also introduced her to the world beyond Sweden's borders. Her portrayal of the Countess, with its subtlety and depth, captivated audiences and critics alike, and soon she found herself in high demand. The film's success led to Greta being discovered by Louis B. Mayer, co-founder of Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer, MGM, who was so impressed by her performance that he offered her a contract with the prestigious Hollywood studio. The news sent shockwaves through the Swedish film industry, and Greta, barely 20 years old at the time, found herself thrust into the spotlight, with the world waiting to see what she would do next. Greta's transition to Hollywood was not without its challenges, however. Upon arriving in the United States in 1925, she faced difficulties adjusting to the new language, customs, and cultural norms. The fast-paced and often cutthroat environment of Hollywood was a far cry from the more subdued and introspective world of Swedish theater, and Greta struggled to find her footing. Nevertheless, her perseverance and determination soon paid off, as she began to establish herself as a leading lady in American cinema. Her early Hollywood films, such as The Torrent, 1926, and Flesh and the Devil, 1927, showcased her remarkable range and sensitivity as an actress, earning her widespread critical acclaim. In these films, Greta played complex, multifaceted characters that defied convention and pushed the boundaries of what was considered acceptable on screen. Her performances were often marked by a deep sense of vulnerability and emotional depth, qualities that continue to inspire actors and filmmakers to this day. One of the most significant relationships in Greta's life during this period was with her mentor and close friend, Moritz Stiller. A talented director and actor in his own right, Stiller had not only guided Greta in her early days as a performer, but also played a pivotal role in securing her contract with MGM. His influence on her career cannot be overstated, and their friendship endured despite the challenges they faced in navigating the complexities of Hollywood's studio system. As Greta navigated the treacherous waters of Hollywood, she found solace in her relationships with other European émigrés who shared her experiences and perspectives. Her close friendships with actors like Pola Negri and directors like Ernst Lubitsch provided a sense of community and support, helping her to stay grounded in the face of overwhelming fame. The late 1920s and early 1930s were a period of tremendous creative output for Greta, as she starred in a string of iconic films that would cement her status as one of the greatest actresses of all time. Movies like Anna Karenina, 1935, Ninotchka, 1939, and Grand Hotel, 1932, showcased her remarkable versatility as she effortlessly navigated a wide range of roles and genres. Her performances were often marked by a deep sense of introspection and emotional nuance, qualities that continue to inspire actors and filmmakers to this day. In Anna Karenina, for example, Greta brought a level of depth and complexity to the title character that was unprecedented at the time. Her portrayal of the doomed aristocrat, with its subtlety and sensitivity, captivated audiences and critics alike, and is still widely regarded as one of the greatest performances in cinematic history. As Greta's star continued to rise, she found herself at the forefront of Hollywood's golden age, rubbing shoulders with legendary figures like Clark Gable, Joan Crawford, and Bette Davis. Her on-screen partnerships with leading men like John Gilbert and Melvyn Douglas are still widely regarded as some of the most iconic in cinematic history, with their chemistry and charisma igniting the screen. The year 1932 was a particularly significant one for Greta, as she starred in not one but two iconic films, Grand Hotel and As You Desire Me. In the former, she played the role of Grusinskaya, a fading ballerina struggling to come to terms with her own mortality. The film, with its innovative cinematography and ensemble cast, was a critical and commercial success and cemented Greta's status as a Hollywood legend. In As You Desire Me, Greta played the role of Zara, a mysterious and alluring woman with a troubled past. The film, directed by George Fitzmaurice, was a complex and nuanced exploration of identity, desire, and redemption, with Greta's performance at its emotional core. Her portrayal of Zara, with its subtlety and depth, captivated audiences and critics alike, and is still widely regarded as one of the greatest performances in cinematic history. The 1930s were also a time of great personal turmoil for Greta, as she struggled to balance her creative ambitions with the demands of her personal life. Her relationships with men like John Gilbert and Leopold Stokowski were often tumultuous and all-consuming, leaving her little time or energy for anything else. Despite these challenges, Greta continued to push the boundaries of what was possible on screen, taking on roles that were complex, nuanced, and often unconventional. Her commitment to her craft was unwavering, and she remained fiercely dedicated to her art, even in the face of overwhelming fame and personal turmoil. In 1939, Greta starred in Ninotchka, a film that would become one of the defining roles of her career. Directed by Ernst Lubitsch, the film was a witty and sophisticated comedy of manners, with Greta playing the role of Nina Ivanovna Yakushova, a Soviet commissar who finds herself torn between her duty to the state and her growing feelings for a charming and cynical count. The film was a critical and commercial success, with Greta's performance earning her widespread acclaim. Her portrayal of Ninotchka, with its subtlety and nuance, captivated audiences and critics alike, and is still widely regarded as one of the greatest performances in cinematic history. As the 1930s drew to a close, Greta found herself at the pinnacle of her success, with a reputation as one of the greatest actresses of all time. Her commitment to her craft had never wavered, and she remained fiercely dedicated to her art, even in the face of overwhelming fame and personal turmoil. As the 1940s dawned, Greta Garbo's on-screen presence began to wane, like a fading sunset over the Hollywood hills. The studio system, which had once catapulted her to stardom, now felt suffocating, its constraints chafing against her creative spirit. The pressures of fame had taken a toll on her personal life, leaving her feeling isolated and alone in the midst of chaos. In 1941, she starred in Two-Faced Woman, a film that would prove to be her swan song, a final flourish before she bid adieu to the silver screen. The memory of that last film still lingered, like a bittersweet aftertaste, as Garbo reflected on the experience. She had thrown herself into the role, pouring her heart and soul into the character. But the movie's poor reception was a disappointment, a harsh reminder that even the brightest stars can fade. Yet, Garbo had already made up her mind to leave the screen behind, to trade in the glamour of Hollywood for a life of quiet contemplation. Garbo's decision to retire from acting at the age of 35 sent shockwaves through the film industry, like ripples on a still pond. She had been one of its brightest stars, a luminary who had illuminated the screens with her talent, beauty, and dedication to her craft. Her departure left a void that would be difficult to fill, a chasm that seemed impossible to bridge. But Garbo was resolute, her mind made up, as she turned her back on the spotlight and walked away from the only life she had known. As she slipped into private life, Garbo found solace in the anonymity of the crowd. She spent her days exploring the city, lost in thought as she navigated the uncharted territories of her own heart. The scrutiny of the public eye, which had once been a constant companion, now seemed like a distant memory, a relic of a bygone era. Garbo reveled in the freedom to be herself without the burden of expectation or the weight of fame. Despite her retirement, Garbo's legacy only continued to grow, like a garden in bloom. She remained an iconic figure, revered for her talent, beauty, and dedication to her craft. The award was a poignant reminder of the indelible mark she had left on the industry, a lasting tribute to her artistry. As the years passed, Garbo became increasingly reclusive, preferring to spend her time alone or with close friends, in the quiet comfort of her own company. She traveled extensively, always seeking new experiences and perspectives, like a curious child exploring the wonders of the world. And though she never returned to acting, Garbo continued to inspire generations of performers, from Audrey Hepburn to Meryl Streep. Her influence was a subtle yet pervasive force, like a gentle breeze that rustled the leaves of the trees. She had set a standard for excellence, a benchmark against which others would measure themselves, and her legacy continued to motivate and inspire, a beacon shining brightly in the firmament. In her later years, Garbo's health began to decline, but her spirit remained unbroken, like a flame that burned brightly despite the tempests that raged around it. As she looked back on her life, she reflected on the choices she had made and the sacrifices she had endured for the sake of her art. "I never said I wanted to be a star," she once observed, with characteristic humility. Greta Garbo passed away on April 15, 1990, at the age of 84, leaving behind a legacy that continues to captivate audiences around the world. Her contributions to cinema are immeasurable, like the stars in the night sky, infinite and uncountable. Her influence can still be seen in films today, a subtle yet unmistakable presence, like a whisper in the wind. Greta Garbo may have shunned the spotlight, but her legacy shines brighter than ever, inspiring us to pursue our own dreams and to never compromise on our values. She had lived a life of quiet intensity, a life that had been marked by both triumph and tragedy, but ultimately it was a life that had been true to herself. And so, as we bid farewell to this remarkable woman, we take with us the lessons of her life like a bouquet of flowers that we carry with us on our journey. We remember her strength, her resilience, and her unwavering commitment to her art. We remember her beauty, her elegance, and her sophistication. But most of all, we remember her humanity, her vulnerability, and her willingness to be herself, without apology or pretension. That's all for today's biography with Plutarch. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and until next time, remember that understanding the lives of remarkable individuals helps us better understand ourselves.